Welcome everyone. It's my first time on E2E conference, and not just in US. I never been in Europe, unfortunately. I mean, never been in Europe on E2E. You probably hear that I'm from Europe. So a little bit about me. My name is Denis Gundarev. I work as a senior consultant with NTC Solutions, and trying to present with some geeky slides. I spend most of the time when I'm preparing slides, not for content. I'm not spending preparing the content. I'm trying to attach fonts to make it look natural on these windows. So that's maybe because I'm a little bit crazy. With support of Citrix and Henrik, we host Bay Area Citrix user group. So if you are in Bay Area, please join us. And I'm Citrix technology professional, and I'm proud to be part of this this community. So what we will talk about. This topic, tracing, debugging, and analysis, will be not about basic stuff like just restart your computer or do something like this. First of all, don't restart computer, because if you want to get some issue resolved, you need to check your log files. You need to check when issue is actually happening. You need to troubleshoot it, so don't restart your computer to fix stuff. This session is not about CDF tracing, because there is a lot of information on how to get access to these log files. Just check presentations on TechEdge, on Citrix.com from TechEdge, and there is a lot of information. But I will touch it a little bit. And it's not crash dump analysis. I'm trying to do some crash dump analysis, but I'm not so good like Dmitry Vostokov, as example. And if you don't know, or if you've never seen his blog, check his blog on dump analysis, and you will find a lot of information that is useful for troubleshooting. So, how to start troubleshooting things? First of all, you need to identify the issue. Then you need to do something. Perfect. So, yeah, you need to identify the issue. It's the first step, and most probably you see this step as an error. And next thing that you need to do, you need to troubleshoot it. But before you start troubleshooting, what you will do? Okay, let's jump a couple of slides. So you will check the support Citrix.com. There's a lot of articles about old, let's say, legacy products. There's a lot of troubleshooting information that you can find. More than 250 articles about web interface. Small basic thing, but there's a lot of articles on how to troubleshoot issues. If you have XenApp deployment, old and beauty, and powerful XenApp. If you have this deployment, you will find a lot of information about XenApp on Citrix.com. But if you will start searching for some articles about XenDesktop 7.5, or they call it XenApp 7.5, you'll find that this product is so great and easy and has no problems at all, because there's just 59 articles about issues, and most of these articles is about like licensing, what kind of licenses you need to have, what kind of SQL Server editions are supported. So not about real issues. Storefront, same thing. There is not a lot of technical information about storefront on Citrix support knowledge base articles. And so, okay, you most probably seen this error. You're trying to log on to storefront, and what you need to do to get log on. You need to start troubleshooting. Where to start? Okay, you can use abracadabra stuff to find, like, to fix it. Maybe it will help you, but usually not. So first thing that you need to do, you need to check event logs. Okay, you checked event logs, what you see there. What I see here. Oh, I have animation. There is some string. Okay, there is some endpoint is not listening for something, and that's the root cause of this error, according to event logs. So first of all, that you need to do, before you start troubleshooting anything, you need to know internals, how this product works. So if you don't know how storefront works, let me tell you. Storefront is a web application that is running on Internet Information Server, and there is a lot of different services and components that are communicating with each other using a thing called Windows Communication Foundation, WCF. And comparing storefront, when you compare storefront with web interface, storefront is much more complex application. Every service that is running on storefront is communicating with each other using HTTP connection. So it's not just in-memory communication between different processes. It communicates using HTTP connection or TCP connection. Basically, they're using WCF protocol, WCF technology that is available from Microsoft. And every endpoint, so every service is called endpoint, and every endpoint has a configuration that is stored in XML file in the same folder as your exe or DLL files. And you can modify this configuration, but okay, we see that one of the endpoints is not listening. How we can find the configuration file? Use PowerShell. PowerShell is so great, and you can do some basic things with PowerShell much faster. So, as example, if you want to find, is there any config file that has the string that we're seeing on the error, this string, you can use PowerShell and try to search for all config files, starting from the root of drive C, search for this string in these files, and just we want to find the path to this file and the line number, and then open it in the grid. So we found all config files in a couple of seconds. I just clicked on the clicker. So we found all config files on the drive C with simple PowerShell commands, all config files that contain some specific string. Now we can open them with Notepad and modify and find what is it. So basically, okay, we found that some services cause an issue. But if you run XenDesktop 7.7.5, and if you ever try to open services console, you will find that there is like almost 30 services that start with word Citrix. Which service is firing? How you can find it? Okay, you can try to search for specific service, how it's named in this console. So on the previous step, we found what we found here. Yeah, we found the name of the file of the configuration file for some specific exe. So let's try to find the service that is using this exe. You can do this with PowerShell as well. You can select all services, search for service that has a specific string in the path to the executable, and you will find it very easily in a couple of clicks. Basically, PowerShell is very powerful for searching for information, and I will tell you more how you can use it. But let's continue. So, okay, we found that service was stopped. We found the name of the service we found that service was stopped. After you start the service, okay, everything should work on the storefront. But you know, errors on the storefront, they're usually very generic. Cannot complete your request. I just started the service, why it doesn't work? Okay, let's check event logs again. Okay, we see event log and we see another string. So remote machine couldn't be resolved. Load balancer corp itbubble.ru. I was sure that I changed the URL of my storefront servers. I did it in the console, but something, it looks that something goes wrong, and one of the configuration files wasn't changed. Okay, let's try to find this file. We can use the same PowerShell command to search for config files with some specific string, find it, open in Notepad, and change it. Instead of opening all files manually and looking for this information. But what is interesting in this specific file, okay, we fixed this issue. I changed the configuration file, and if you don't know, when you change the configuration file for any IIS-based application, the application is automatically reloaded. So you don't need to restart IIS service after you modified configuration of any file of any application that is hosted on Internet Information Services. But okay, we opened the file, and if you every time you want to explore what you can configure here, what options are available. So we changed the server name. Let's check what we see here. Oh, there is some option that is not documented by Citrix for some reason, and it has a very interesting field called process name, and the value is Fiddler. Anyone is using Fiddler? Okay, perfect. So that's great that you know what is Fiddler. I will not try. I would try to not spend a lot of time on how great is Fiddler, but what you probably don't know if you never seen this presentation before, because Citrix doesn't have this documented. You can configure Citrix receiver for web to use Fiddler as a proxy, and if you have any issues running on the server, it's hard to troubleshoot because receiver communicates with storefront making requests. Some requests, some of them are failing. What is wrong? It's hard to troubleshoot. You can't use Wireshark as example because Wireshark will not capture the IP packets that are sent to the local host. There is options, yeah, but Fiddler is free, available, and receiver storefront supported. It works with. I never tried. Fiddler for me works better than anything. I don't want to change it. But anyway, thank you. So we can configure Fiddler. We can install Fiddler on the storefront and configure storefront to make all communication attempts using this proxy, and basically we will get all information. So if you use it, Fiddler, you know it's a tool that you can run and capture all HTTP traffic, including SSL traffic, if you will trick the application by installing the fake root certificate. So it will decrypt traffic and re-encrypt it, and it's very useful for troubleshooting. And we will use it on the next slide. So we fixed the host name, trying to connect to storefront again and having the same issue. Let's use Fiddler. So I run Fiddler on the server, on storefront server, and checking all traffic that is coming to and from storefront. And with Fiddler, you can find, if if you know what you're looking for. You can find that we have a response from load balanced configuration. So I have, in this configuration, I have storefront behind the NetScaler load balancer. And I see that storefront, when it's load balanced, NetScaler adds the cookie. I have a cookie persistence configured for my storefront, and I have a cookie in the response from NetScaler. But I don't have a cookie in the request. That's because Windows Communication Foundation has other ways how to track session. And it doesn't use cookies. It just basically drop cookies. So every time when you start configuring load balanced storefront, you need to be sure that you're not using. You need to be sure that you have session persistence, but this session persistence is not based on cookies, because I will show you on the next slide. If I will grab 4 requests, 4 responses from the NetScaler, I will see that cookie is different. And basically, because we are not sending cookie in the request, NetScaler feel that like it's a new, completely new connection, completely new user, and redirect to another node of the load balanced pair. Second node, second storefront server, is not expecting any connections. Connection is not authenticated, and it basically drop it, and we have error that we've seen before. So this issue can be fixed by changing the persistence method from cookie insert to source IP, and it will be much more stable. Yep. Yep. Because storefront is completely new product, and web interface, it was one IIS application, and that's all. It wasn't designed for load balanced configuration. It wasn't. There was no communication from web interface to another nodes of the web interface. Storefront, you have different services running that handle the credentials, user credentials, that enumerate applications, and so on. And you have, even on IIS server, you have several applications running there. One of them is the store itself. Second is authentication service. Another one is your web receiver. Another one is roaming service to support user roaming between different data centers. And all these components, they communicate with each other. When you open in the web receiver, it tries to get list of applications connecting to your store service. And it's using HTTP connection every time. When your store service is trying to authenticate user, it makes right on this box on the storefront server, your storefront service communicates with authentication service, basically trying to connect himself, but it's using HTTP protocol. It tries to resolve the name of the server and connect to it. In this case, most important piece, so this persistence is configured. So it's okay if your user gets load balanced. No, let me think. So no, source IP will not work properly with. Yep, that's right. Yeah, you can set, actually you can modify these configuration files. I don't have it anything anywhere documented, and I never seen that it is documented, but I tried to make it. You can configure WCF services to keep cookies, and basically cookie persistence will work. You will need to do this change every time when you update your storefront, because config files will be changed, but it's possible to configure cookie persistence to make it work.
Why are you using timeout versus session-based cookie? That's a 0, so it's valid until the session is invalidated.
So I have the communication flow documented. I can share this the document later. Basically, every request should be authenticated, and it uses 401 authentication challenge with Citrix authentication.
That's a different thing. Persistence is just how long it should go to the same backend server. And setting it for 20 minutes doesn't fly on the back. It's better, well, I'm just saying, like, why aren't you setting it to 0, which means that keep the session cookie persistence until your session is invalidated instead of setting a fixed time?
Cookie session persistence doesn't work because cookie is dropped on every request. I mean, WCF services doesn't put cookie in the request. No, they just drop them.
No, but the setting cookie base will be valid for everyone that should have a cookie. If you set it to 0, it doesn't matter if you set it to 20, it's not going to make the cookie more valid if the service doesn't.
Oh, this is just a screenshot. It's not configured deployment. I just show the. Yeah, I just shown the root cause of this error on the screenshot.
Yeah, so
Sorry, it's not a.
It should be 0 for anyone who read it as it should be 20 minutes.
Yep.
Yes. Well, 0 is as long as the session is valid.
Okay, we finally got to the Citrix receiver, or to the storefront. What we can do next with storefront? You try to launch, for example, HTML5 client, and you are not able to do this. For some reason, it's failing. How to troubleshoot your receiver for web? It's a client-based. It's running in your browser. It's a Java application that communicating with your storefront, basically. And how you can troubleshoot it? Use standard tools that are available in Internet Explorer, in Google Chrome, in Firefox. You can press F12 and you'll see a very beautiful window. So if you're trying to explore this stuff, okay, you pressed F12 on your storefront server. If you will open this for the first time, you will see this tracing is disabled. I'm just curious, what does it mean? Where this tracing disabled came from? So when I seen this message for the first time, I started searching where it came from. It's not Internet Explorer saying me that tracing is disabled. Let's try to search. So I basically opened the source of the source JavaScript of the storefront server. It's hard to read it, but you can format JavaScript if you use Internet Explorer. It will be easier to read, and you can search for this tracing disabled. These two words that you found in error, let's say. And you will find the function that basically checking that you have word tracing in your URL. How you can add it? Yeah, this is better. This function is checking your URL, and if there is word tracing, you will see better results. So you can add this tracing after your URL, and if you will press F12 again, you will see a lot of tracing information. Everything that happens in your web storefront, in your web receiver, will be here. And what is really important when you're using HTML5 client, you will see the real ICA file that is transferred to this HTML5 client. So this can be really useful for troubleshooting. So how I found these things, how I get information that, okay, I need to enable tracing here, or I need to search configuration files. reverse engineering. It's the best friend of anyone who wants to troubleshoot any software.
Every software we try to do it comes by troubleshooting.
I have information for you on this topic. So reverse engineering very helpful when you have new products released. Citrix released some new product. There's no documentation, or it's horrible how to deal with this product. If you go into the customer, or if you deploy in your environment, how to find what should be fixed if there is no documentation. Only reverse engineering. And there is a lot of tools that help you. This tool called IOSpy is basically a disassembler, decompiler for applications that using .NET. As you probably seen or know, XenDesktop require .NET during the installation, and I could say that except ICA stack, most of the services, most of the components are using .NET in XenDesktop 7.x. And if something doesn't work properly, you can open this tool, which is free, and get the source of specific DLL and find what is really happening and why it doesn't work. And I have some examples. So in XenApp 6.5, if you try to publish application, it may happen that your App Center or Citrix Management Console, let's say, it's easier. Your Management Console for XenApp failing with the error. It just crashes when you're trying to publish application. That's definitely wrong. If you will click on Details button here in this error, you will see a standard .NET error. How to read it? Here is the function that was failing. On the next line, you will find the function that called the function that was failing. So basically, we have some class here in red and a function. If I will switch back to Fiddler, I will show it live instead of screenshot. Oh, sorry. If they will start obfuscating the code, it's bad for them. I mean, they will have less successful deployments. Okay, let me show it on my screen. Okay, I have this Fiddler stuff running, and basically when I had this error, I opened the DLL. One of the DLLs, I found it using a PowerShell script that I used before, I will show it after. And I started searching for this function. So what was the function? Function was create server links. Okay, we have a search here in this DLL, create server links. Okay. That's not this one. Okay, here is the function. I can check, okay, what is happening there. Interesting. If you can read the code, it may be very interesting. It may be better than any joke when you read the code. There is a lot of some of the components have comments that are very funny. I will show them. Okay, so what I'm looking here. So nothing wrong here, but there is a favorite. One thing that was interesting. Okay, I will show it like here. So here's another variable that is set using the some function. So what happening here? In this, I'm sorry. In this line, we see that management console trying to find the folder. You know, in your Windows profile, there is folders for documents, special folders, documents, desktop, all the stuff. One of these folders is links. So developers decided that, okay, we will find this folder in the way how we know how we can find it. It's good that they're not using hard-coded paths. See documents and files and users and all this stuff. They trying to get environment variable user profile and add fixed name, hard-coded name of the folder links. It will definitely not work in some localized versions of Windows, and it will not work if you have folder redirection, as example. So let me come back to presentation. So I used this ILSpy tool to search for this piece of code that wasn't really good, and I seen this error many times in my lab, but I was sure that it's okay, it's my problem. Then I seen it at a couple of customers, and yeah, it was still my problem. I need to fix it, and basically I opened it, the source code, found that okay, we have links for we have console looking for links folder, which is removed and it's redirected. So as a workaround, I created this links folder manually, and I sent a request to Citrix support. And I always love to do this when I open the case, and I'm not asking, guys, I have some problem, you need to fix it. I'm sending them a piece of their code, like, okay, here's in the line 9, you need to change this to this. They still want to reproduce the issue, usually. But I'm usually sending the line of the code and steps to reproduce. I'm done. This is my best use of Citrix support. So here's the screenshots, how I found this error, and I showed it already. Okay, there is another error. I'm trying to configure filtering in the console. So I'm usually trying to manage servers remotely. I'm not a fan of jump stations and sitting on the desktop controller with console. I'm trying to use group policies. I'm usually configuring group policies from my computer, where I have Active Directory snap-in installed, where I have group policy snap-in installed, all Citrix snap-ins installed. But when I'm trying to configure filtering, this message says me that XenDesktop is not installed. It's not true. I just deployed it to multiple locations. I have XenDesktop deployment. It's huge.
Set up now, that's one.
Yeah.
Oh, XenApp.
They've changed the text.
So, what's happening? Let's try to search for this error. We have XenDesktop is not installed. What does it mean? Let's search in every file on your C drive with this error. We found it. It's one of the DLL somewhere in the Microsoft Assembly storage. It's a .NET DLL. We can open it in Fiddler. Find that it's one of the strings in the resource table. Okay, where it's used. Let's try to search. Okay, I found it. I started typing for use of this string, and I found some function. You can, if you want to know more how this function is used, you can right-click, click Analyze, and it will show you how this variable or function is used in this application, let's say. And finally, we can get the source code of specific function where when we see that your group policy snap, group policy management console trying to run PowerShell command, add the snap-in, run the PowerShell command, and it tries to add this module. It's not installed. Let's check what we have in the source on the ISO. We can grab this MSI file, install it, and we're fine. We can manage filtering in group policy without installing the full console. Because if you will check the knowledge base for this error that I shown previously, knowledge base say that you need to manage your XenDesktop from XenDesktop controller, or you need to install full studio on your computer using the wizard. I don't like this idea. I just installed a couple of MSI files. I'm done. It's good. And yeah, now it works. I can select the scope group and configure filter. The funny thing that the same error was in XenApp, but it was much better. It was more descriptive. The same error, if you will do the filtering in XenApp, it will tell you what is not installed and how you can fix it. Simplification. Instead of long error message, we have short one. Yeah, this is the error. Okay, another one case. AppV integration in newest and greatest. If something doesn't work when you're trying to publish or integrate your XenDesktop environment with AppV servers, I have no idea where you can get help. It's not well documented.
I do. Support that.
So basically, you can open the error message. Okay, this is a small piece of the CDF trace, and my problem was that applications are not enumerated. I don't see the applications. I configured everything, connected my environment to AppV server, and then I'm trying to enumerate applications to publish them, and then there is nothing. So I checked. I started CDF trace. Not a lot of information. Okay, what's happening? I can open the source code and I can find what is really happening. And what is really happening when your desktop studio tries to communicate with AppV server, it tries to execute PS remote session on your AppV server. It creates the script. I have the script. It's a big script just to enumerate applications. It's a PowerShell script that is hard-coded here. I just make it look more beautiful because here it's in one line. It's a script that I can just grab from the source code, execute on my AppV server, and find that something wrong with my AppV server and get it fixed. So I can grab a small piece of the code, reproduce what is Citrix doing, and fix my AppV servers. So it's great when you play with XenDesktop, XenApp, written in .NET. What will happen if you start troubleshooting XenMobile? You're lucky. They're using Java. And, sorry, with Java, there is a lot of tools like ILSpy for decompiling your jar files and checking the information, what is happening inside. So, is it legal? Yes, it's legal. Read green letters only. So you can reverse engineer any piece of software that you got legally if it's not for if you will not reuse this code for some other applications, and if you try to fix this application that is running in your environment, for if you have some compatibility issues, it's legal in US. Oh, no, it's, sorry, what I'm showing you. It's a Microsoft Windows 8 EU. So the green stuff is accepting if law allow you to decompile, reverse engineer your operating system. Oh, sorry. There are some colors that I don't see. So the first thing is Citrix EU, Citrix XenDesktop EU. Second piece of text is Microsoft EU. They tell you clearly that you cannot reverse engineer, decompile, or disassemble except the laws allow you to do this. And if you live in US, for sole purpose of identifying and analyzing those elements of the program that are necessary to achieve interoperability, it's a DMCA act. It's legal to reverse engineer the software. And it's legal in Europe as well. Second act, second document is some European document, European Union, from European Union. So.
It's all inclusive, there's no other words for so we go to jail.
Well,
I know all the people here do it all the time, professionally.
So if you're doing this to troubleshoot your applications that you are using in your environment, if you're doing this for troubleshooting, it's legal.
For example, extracting employee passwords.
Yeah. Like if you see that your ZenMobile deployment cannot communicate with Apple APNS servers, you can get you can open the code and find that okay, there is some certificate file that was expired. You need to replace it. You can ask Citrix. You can put your own. You just need to change the password. You can find it in the not in the documentation, but in the source code. It's very beautiful thing. So basically, if you want to troubleshoot anything, try to find how it works internally, and if you're able to read the code, use the compilers to read the code and analyze every issue. Use PowerShell for searching. It's very fast, and you can find any data even in binary files in different encodings, and it's great. So, thank you. Any questions?
Then you found some amusing comments in the source code.
It's not a source code. Like if you ever seen XenServer, and if you will start watching to the boot process, you can find that there is one script starting during the start of the enterprise scale product. The script called Open vSwitch Bug Workaround. It's a service that is starting on the startup, and this is shown to the screen of every user who is watching this. And there is a lot of things like this. It's not just about it's not just Citrix doing this. It's not just XenServer engineers doing this. It's every company, every developer can put some funny comment and just forget to remove it.
Microsoft source code, you can actually find similar comments like, but we know this fails.
Yeah.
This and that happens, but we have no time now, so fix it later.
Yeah. It's actually great when you have a source code, because this PowerShell script, let me find it, where is it?
It's actually in
Okay. So this script, it has some comments, what they are doing, and these comments are okay. Basically, the script that I got from the XenDesktop console source code, this script is enumerating applications, and it has a comments, and it's much easier to understand why they're doing this, how they're doing this. So I don't agree with how this AppV integration is done, but it works sometime. And if it doesn't work, you can find the information how it should work, because there is a source code, so it's easy. Okay, thank you.